So did you both kind of detach from the organization at the same time, or was your partner, did he stay on a bit longer after you'd left? What was the...
No, actually, he left before me.
Okay.
So I stayed a bit longer because I still had faith in the organization. I still felt like I wanted to continue, but it it was just like sign after sign, and things accumulated, and I just felt like, no, I can't support this anymore. And I felt that there was a lot of pressure on how much I had to work. And I felt like it started to interfere with my day job
Hmm.
that actually pays the bills. And even my boss started to remark on how I seemed distracted and how I seemed stressed. And if it starts to interfere with my day job, then I started to feel like, no, it's not worth it. I don't want to be fired and um, be in this bad situation because of something it's not even worth it, because
Yeah.
they weren't even a reliable source of income, because they weren't paying me at the end of the month, because they were delayed. And then they would have all kinds of excuses as to why they wouldn't pay me. It was a whole mess of things.
Hmm.
So then I decided, no, I'm not going to stress about this anymore. I want peace of mind. I don't want to get myself worked up and be pulled into some kind of drama. No. So I decided to leave. But
Yeah.
it was about a month after my partner left.
I mean, the sort of the behavior that you talk about there with just how they sort of overwork the staff, and then
Hmm.
factoring on these stresses about, you don't know whether you're actually going to get paid or not. And then,
Hmm.
I guess you kind of feel guilty almost for asking them about,
Yes.
if you're going to be
Yeah.
paid. And this is the thing which I highlighted in one of my videos a while ago about, because I've got nothing but, the deepest love and respect for the people who, like yourself, who step up to do this. Some of these
Hmm.
facilitators have saved my life multiple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And so the idea that they're not not being compensated properly or being having additional stresses, it really infuriates me. It's
Hmm.
if there's any message that I can get out that with these videos that I'm doing is that, yeah, these people need to be given the respect and the space, particularly when it comes to there has been these couple of suicides recently, and it's
Yeah.
you can just imagine, it's I can imagine it's a stressful situation. I would not want to
Yeah.
be a facilitator. I have nowhere near got the strength of character to you sort of do it yourself, or your partner did, and be
Mm.
that kind of selfless and have somebody else's trauma on your on your hands to sort of their
Yeah.
fate is in your hands. It's a very a very brave thing to do. So yeah,
Mm.
I'm really, it always really bothers me when I hear stories like this, because it's evil. I think it's a very, very nasty behavior.
Yeah. I would say that's the correct word to describe it. Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned a few people who were in the organization at the same time as your people that you became close with.
Hmm.
Is anyone that you know still there, or is your story a kind of a common story? Were people cycling out fairly regularly?
There are some people who are still in the organization that I know, um, but the vast majority have quit or a long time ago, or very recently.
Hmm.
There, none of the I can say that none of the facilitators who were with me at the first retreats I attended, and this was 2 years ago, none of them are still there.
Hmm.
So all of them have quit. And I was having a conversation with one of them pretty recently, a couple months ago or something, and I asked her. This was before I decided to leave the organization. I asked her why she left, and she told me exactly the same thing that I've been hearing many people who work there tell me, and from what I've experienced as well, that it's a lot of work, very little pay, and she referred to it as McDonald's healing. She said that, you know, I can't. She told me, you know, I can't partake in the sort of McDonald's healing that they are doing there.
I'm just to be the sort of the devil's advocate here.
Mm.
How would you? I would guess that if they were listening to this kind of criticism, their response would be something like, "You just weren't up to the task. You know, you weren't committed enough. Of course, you know, we've got bigger things to do than worry about paying you your €50. You know, just we need people who are going to get on with it." What would your response be to that attitude?
Yeah, my response to that kind of attitude would be that I understand that they have bigger things going on, and it's not just about me or any single individual, but I also think that the work that the people facilitating and the people working there to make it all come together to function, that kind of work is really priceless.
Yeah.
Because they are doing a very important thing for people. They are changing people's lives. They're helping people transform their lives. It doesn't matter if one individual isn't important enough, or, you know, just part of the big whole, because in order to make things come together and to make things work, you need every how do you say it? You need every cog in the machinery.
Absolutely, yeah.
You have to compensate the people who work correctly. Like, people need to be paid for their work correctly and fairly.
Yeah, and they need to feel valued. I think that's the other thing. Not
exactly.
Not just like they're being you know, just exploited or something. And I think what a part of it, as you know, from the customer side, is, and I think this is why your story is so important, because if I'd have known this about the facility, or, you know, at that retreat or any retreat, I'd be horrified. It would you know, I wouldn't want to do that retreat where the staff were being treated, you know, so poorly or so undervalued. It would completely take the shine out of the experience for me. So, and certainly when I've, you know, I have had people messaging me in response to my videos like, you don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't like that at all. This thing was, you know, this thing was amazing. And I'm sure it was. I completely accept that some people have had, you know, I'm glad that people have had positive experiences at this thing. But yeah, if it's at the cost of, you know, the sanity of the facilitators or the stress levels of the people who are giving it, then it's not worth it. And I think that's really what, you know, what a message that needs to get out there.
My experience has mostly been positive. So at least with the retreats that I've been participating in. So I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to smear them or anything for their retreats, because for me they have been really transformational and life-changing, honestly. So I'm not going to go out and say that it was all bad and horrible, but I think it speaks for itself that there's always a circulation of people coming and going, that people start working there and quit very, very early on after they've worked for a little while. And it's also very telling that none of the facilitators that were there 2 years ago when I went to my first retreats are there anymore.
Yeah.
And just many people are telling me the same things that I've experienced. And I understand that they are going to say that, oh, well, it's not for everyone, and not everyone likes our methods, and I can understand that too, but I feel that from what I've experienced and from what many people have told me, I feel like it's kind of falling apart, or how to put it. It's I don't think it's sustainable. It's not a sustainable model
Yeah.
what they have going on. So if they want to keep doing what they're doing, they need to do some big changes fundamentally in the organization.
I mean, when I first came across the organization, and I thought this was like a dream come true. I knew I wanted to try this medicine, and I knew that going to Peru was probably a step too far for me at that point. So this idea of an English-speaking organization here in Europe, we're not going to force a religion onto you. It's kind of, you can just try the medicine in this kind of almost secular environment. And I thought I wanted to be a fan. I so did. I was, so, I want to just kind of put that out there, because some people have accused me of just like hating on this organization. And if it had all come together, then I would have been time and time again. And I think the frustrating thing about them, I think, is that it seems like there's a few tweaks that you could make to the organization. You just have to show your staff a bit more care and attention. Perhaps have more staff, maybe limit the size, a few guidelines and sort of protocols in there. And I think it could work so well. But then, I've mentioned quite a few times that there's something about it which just seems cash grabby. And I think like somewhere along the line it's gone wrong, and it's like, okay, well, we know we can only deal with 20 people in a retreat, but we'll take another 10 because that's more money. And we know, there's just all these little kind of cost cutting things, and it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth, and it's so frustrating, because I'm a big sort of advocate for this, that ayahuasca shouldn't be some kind of elite thing just for this, for the people who can afford to go to Peru. And it's having this global spread and getting people involved. I'm so on board with that. And I wanted it to work so much. And it wasn't there. So I think that would be, if there was a message that I could give to Ayahuasca International, I would say it's you probably can pull this back if you have a good introspective look at what you're doing, and be prepared to make some of those changes at the cost of a little bit less revenue. But what's important here is that is it an extra couple of thousand in the bank, or is it this message of this global awakening that they're talking about? I'd like to see them put the money where the mouth is, to be honest.
Yeah, me too, because I know that they like to say that it's all about the mass awakening of people, but I feel like it's more about expansion. It's more about it's more about what every big corporation does. It's expand as quickly as possible and profits.
Profit above all else.
That's the impression I was getting, and that's really sad, because for the longest time I was really defensive about them. I was really ignoring all these different signs, ignoring people's complaints and grievances with the organization. I was trying to just think positive about the whole thing, and give them the benefit of the doubt, I felt disappointed. I felt heartbroken, really, about my experience, because I I went in with better expectations, and I felt a little bit naive, I guess, when I first joined, because it did feel, like you say, a dream come true, like it's too good to be true, and in a way it kind of is a little too good to be true.
Can I just ask, when, because you mentioned you were still in the organization after your partner was left, was there ever any kind of pressure to disconnect from him, or anything like that, or were you like witness to any of this slander?
Well, I don't know if you can call it pressure, but one of the people who I was working with, one of the facilitators, uh, it was actually he who informed me, or just because he he wanted to be nice, he had his heart in the right place. Really, it wasn't anything. I don't think it was anything malicious, but he called me and told me that he overheard a conversation between some women working in the organization, talking about my partner, and it was not so nice things. And I kind of felt a little bit like it was kind of meant to try to manipulate me. I feel that it was emotional manipulation in a way, even if it wasn't intended that way. I feel that that's what it was fundamentally, because the things being said about him, I know are not true. It's actually kind of ridiculous, but I feel that they were trying to kind of twist my mind a little bit, to have me question myself, to have me question my choices, to have me question, have I made the right decision? It felt very, it really left a bitter taste in my mouth.
Do you think that as an organization, the sort of the heart is in the right place, or do you think that they are just trying to milk this phenomenon that's going on, just trying to milk it? Because what I mean by this is that they do seem to push the legality of things. It's like they know that in some places they're pushing it with the authorities, and they seem to do it anyway to get the money in. You mentioned how quickly they're turning people over for these facilitator training courses. So it's not like they're investing in the people. It's like the facilitator course is the product. That's what they're selling. Has it become one of these things where the entity, like the corporate entity, is now running the show and it's just about making money? Or do you think that there's actually still like a good goal at the heart of this thing? As someone who's been there, how do you view it? Do you view it as maybe they don't realize that it's gone off the rails a bit? Maybe there's just a few bad actors in the organization, but overall this organization's good? Or do you think has it just become consumed by the money making entity?
I would say it's somewhere in the middle, but leaning more towards being consumed by the money-making entity, because if you think about it, ayahuasca is rooted very deeply in the culture of the indigenous tribes of the Amazon. That's where it's from originally, and by not by this, by not respecting the spiritual aspects of the medicine, they are essentially disrespecting the culture that it came from. And I don't want to turn this into like a cultural appropriation debate or anything like that, but this needs to be considered with the medicine. It's not. It is a very helpful tool for personal development. It is a very helpful tool for spiritual evolution and ascension. It really is. It's a wonderful. I would say it's the best tool. but I think it is crucial to respect the origins, where it came from, the culture it came from, and by not by disregarding these things and ignoring these things, I feel that it kind of takes the spirit out of it a little bit, and it cheapens it quite a lot.
It speaks somewhat to our kind of like I don't know, I guess a bit to our kind of Western arrogance, in that
Yes.
we can sort of think that there's, you know, we think we know it all again. And this was exactly my attitude. So I'm putting this firm on me, is in that, yeah, there's such a rich context to this thing. It's not, for me, it's not just about active ingredients in a bottle. There's that it's, I mean, I always think of like ayahuasca is not the thing in the bottle. It's an event. It's something bigger that you dial into. And I realize I'm going into like hippie, fluffy speak now, but it's just one of those things. When you experience it, it becomes obvious, and it's like, yeah, of course I get it now, and of course I can. You feel the roots of it going back to these indigenous places, and it's something that we need. I think in particularly in the West, it's something we can learn so much from. So I think the idea that we just kind of throw it out and turn it into you know, an interesting psychedelic experience is it's just such a loss of the whole beautiful tapestry of the experience.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel too. And I actually, during one of my ayahuasca experiences, what I took away from it was that excuse my language, we don't know shit.
Okay. That's actually a lot more gentle than my language is usually. What the fuck?
Yes, that too. Yeah.
It's very humbling. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what the fuck too. Yeah.
What does your story look like now since you've left? It sounds like you're a very sort of spiritual person, and you sound like you've had a happy experience meeting your partner. So, what's sort of next in store for you? What are you going to move on to?
Well, since I left them, I feel like there's definitely my life has calmed down a little bit more, in a more peace. There's more peace in my life for sure, and I still keep in touch with a lot of the people in the organization, both the ones still there and those who left. So I have a lot of friends. I feel like I've gotten a lot of great experiences out of my time with them, in the sense that I've grown a lot as a person, because I had a big issue with social situations before, and that is something that I feel has improved in my life a lot. So right now I spend my days meditating a lot, working on myself, working on my happiness, my gratitude. I do yoga. I do a lot of reading up on a lot of personal development books, and just devouring everything that's about those things, and meeting people who I can sort of talk about these things with, and where I'm heading next. Well, it's still a mystery, but right now I'm writing a book about my spiritual experiences, and about how to be more happy in life. So there's a book on the way, and I'm eventually hoping to go to South America to actually learn from the indigenous about the medicines. And I am still hoping to become a facilitator someday, but I feel like I have a lot of growing to do before I get there. I don't feel it's something that a couple of courses is going to teach me.
Yeah, I think that's probably the thing that I think Ayahuasca International have really done. It's what they tap into. I think in this when you get involved with this thing. I think particularly for us in the West, we look for the easy option. We look for the sort of how can I. You've got the good intention that you want to be involved, but it's like, I want to be involved on my terms. I want it in Europe. I want it to be to be done in English. I want, and they just kind of provide this. They say, we can do this, and it seems it's too good to be true almost. And like I said, it can leave you feeling a little bit kind of naive. But it's a shame. So do you still get to work with the medicine, or have you kind of put that on the shelf for the moment?
I've put it on the shelf for the moment because, as I said, I still have a lot of growing to do, a lot of evolution going on. So I don't feel I'm quite there yet. I don't feel I'm quite ready yet, but I will definitely be going on retreats. Not with Ayahuasca International, but I don't know when, but hopefully in the near future, maybe this year, because I feel like I want to continue the work I started with my own spiritual ascension.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're keeping yourself very busy, and it's like a very positive lifestyle that you've got there with it, writing your book and all your sort of yoga and stuff. So I just want to say I'm really glad that you come out of it so positive, and also that you can be so honest about that, how you've had these positive experiences with them. And I think if Ayahuasca International does hear this, I think I'd just like to draw attention to that. You've been very clear about how you've had these good experiences. This is not just people hating on them or attacking them. It's there's some really constructive criticism in here, which I think, as we mentioned, if they took it on board, I think they could really turn the organization around. So I really wanted to thank you for that. And also just say good luck with the book, and when it's done, by all means, if you let me know, I'd be very interested in reading a version, and perhaps I could have a conversation about that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, I will definitely.